I'd like to start the meeting as Sheffield Selectboard. I'm Robert Kilmer. I'm sitting in for Nadine Halver, who had surgery and was unable to be with us tonight. So we wish her a speedy recovery. We'll start the meeting, and I'd like to thank CTSB for being here tonight. They do an awesome job. We'll start the meeting with the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the September 19th, 2024 minutes. The others will wait for Nadine because we need her for a vote.
Okay, and I will second that. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Appointment of Concom alternate. So at our last meeting, we announced Cheryl Blackburn of interest in being appointed. Tonight, I'll take a motion to appoint her as alternate to the Conservation Commission.
I'd like to nominate Cheryl Blackburn as the alternate for the Concom Conservation Commission.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 3, update on roads and bridges. So I have a prepared statement here on the Kellogg Road Bridge update. We have met with Ann Goby, Director of Rural Affairs, and discussed the current situation with Kellogg Road Bridge and Brookside Road Bridge. She has taken the information and will get back to us with any information that might be helpful. The bridge is on the tip, which means it is a state project and they will fund 100% of the project. We are seeking information regarding the town applying for a Mass Works grant to fund the engineering and continue to have the bridge on the tip list for the state. Mass DOT has a new engineer who is working on pre-engineered bridges so that the cost and the time for engineering can be reduced. Each bridge currently has to have its own engineered plans and permits. The town has been working on Limekiln Road for several years, and now the state is requiring that the roadway be raised, which will require new permitting. This will delay the project, and the bridge is in poor shape. Our office discussed with Mass DOT the probability of funds ready for the bridge replacement on County Road being redirected to Kellogg Road Bridge, and that is not how the program works. And that's what we have for the latest update. Okay. Citizens' letters availability. So we have the letter here with addresses. It's on our website, I believe.
It is.
You can pick it up here at Town Hall. It's got Mara Healy's address, Edward Markey, Smitty Pignatelli, Elizabeth Warren, and Paul Mark. All their addresses where it can be sent. There's the draft letter that thank you, Catherine Miller wrote, which is very well put together. You can use this one or you can write your own. I would suggest that we be respectful. The state has done quite a lot for us recently, and I would like to maintain that good working relationship going forward. Any questions about the letter?
About Neil, you got Neil? I didn't hear you say Neil.
I think he's on there, maybe not.
No, he is. Mark, Neil, Warren, Governor,
I don't think he's listed on my sheet here.
And this is on the website?
Yes.
Well, I wrote 5 letters, so there must be 5 people somewhere.
There's
Well, I got
Governor
5.
Healy, Markey, Pignatelli, Elizabeth Warren, and Paul Mark.
Yep, but I don't have Neil.
We'll add them.
We can add. Okay, perfect.
Can you say that, I think I did see the letter online, and I can't remember where, if I did I see it in the news
Yes,
It's in
under
news.
news and announcements.
All the website, and the news tab, and it's there.
Anybody that has trouble can call and we'll help them.
Okay. Announcement of school committee and planning board vacancies. So we have a vacancy that will be coming up on the school committee after the vote. That will be for Dennis Sears's position again. Stephanie Ulrich was appointed to fill the term until the election. We have to put it back out and fill that again. So depending on who is elected in November 5th, then there will have to be someone reappointed to fulfill Dennis's position until election. It's a little complicated arrangement, but that's how it worked out.
To further explicate that, because of the deadline of when this would have been needed to be posted, this position will be filled for the next section of the term. Only we weren't allowed to fill it for that whole cycle. We have to do it again as of the election. So based on who wins the election, we will have some potential candidates that we can nominate for this position to fulfill his term, right? It's
Correct.
very complicated.
Anybody interested should send in a letter of interest.
Yes. Okay, then we have the planning board vacancy. We accepted George Olean's resignation at our last meeting. We will need to appoint somebody for the fulfill his term until the next election is available. So anybody interested in the planning board position, write a letter of interest to Rhonda, town administrator.
And also Rhonda had mentioned this to me, but one of the things that's interesting is it's an elected position. And this is a nice opportunity for somebody who thinks that they might be interested in planning board to really get a sense of what it's like to sit on the board before going through an election cycle. So it's kind of a nice opportunity for somebody who's been intrigued about what it might mean without having to go through an election.
Very good.
Can I just say that what you're talking about, you wanted to...
Yes, please.
Sari Hoy, 60 Main Street. I'm on the planning board. So I'm just speaking to round that out is to fill in George's position. I don't know if it was clear until the next election. So that would be in May,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
Just so that everybody knows, it's just a few months, literally. So.
Correct.
I think you're right. It's a great opportunity to check it out.
Thank you. Okay. So moving on, discussion regarding new diesel truck regulations. Rhonda, would you like to go over that?
So the state passed a law that beginning January 1st of 2025 that you could not register a truck, a large truck, if it was diesel in Massachusetts. And so that's created quite a problem because we're not set up, along with many other towns, to have electric vehicles. The charge doesn't last long enough, and then it takes many more hours to charge it. So in a snowstorm, it could be a potential problem. DEP has relaxed the regulation for 1 year. I don't know how much of a help that's going to be for us, because I think any town that's looking for something now is going to be scrambling to get what's out there and to try and get it before January. But there has been a delay, and so we're glad for that, and we'll see what happens as time goes on.
Hopefully in the next year, they'll revisit this and come up with a little bit more sensible regulations.
Are you
Yes.
talking about cars, trucks, commercial vehicles?
Could you come to the podium, please, and so the audience at home can...
Melissa Cushi, I live at 1375 Boardman Street. I'm confused. Is it about cars, trucks, commercial vehicles?
Diesel vehicles,
All diesel vehicles, including commercial trucks?
yes.
It will have some unintended impacts, without a doubt. So hopefully they will, again, work out the details and get a little bit better plan going forward. Anything else? Yeah. Okay, discussion, possible action regarding building assessment for the library. So we have looked into having the library assessed structurally, and we are at this point, I believe, looking for a grant to help pay for that.
Our insurance company has offered a grant. We've submitted it and hope that they will pay it.
Would you like to say anything more about?
So the
plan?
cost of the work to be done is $5,450. And I think that even if insurance doesn't pay for it, that the town should have this work done so they at least know the condition of the library and what may or may not be needed in the upcoming years.
I agree with that. Would you like a vote tonight or just hold off on that? until
I
we
would
have
like a
full
vote
board?
that you will approve finding funds elsewhere if insurance does not pay for it.
I will make that motion.
I would second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
A discussion regarding license renewals. So, license renewals are due up shortly, I assume. And if you are interested in having your license renewed, make sure that your taxes are paid or
License for what?
What's a license?
any type of
Business
Business
licenses.
licenses.
Yep. Sorry, but.
Yeah, we don't all have the same birth date, so it's not our driver's license.
So, yes, for business licenses, please, if you aren't current on your taxes, see Monique and try to make some kind of arrangement. Licenses will not be issued if you are delinquent on taxes
And do not have a plan.
and do not have a plan through Monique. So, please be proactive if you're having difficulties with your tax situation.
Is the due date on the calendar year or the?
Yes, all licenses are renewed for January 1st. So letters will be going out. I believe liquor license letters have gone out, and the others will go out around the 1st of December.
Thank you.
Holiday schedule for November. So it looks like November 4th, we have a Board of Selectmen meeting. Now, I am bad because what is the holiday on November 11th?
Veterans Day.
That's Veterans Day. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm a farmer and there is no holiday. So, yeah, I have to be informed of these things, you know. So we have Veterans Day on the 11th. We have a Board of Selectmen's meeting on the 18th. And Town Hall will be closed on the 28th and the 29th of November. For Thanksgiving, of course. That one I know. That's my favorite holiday, so, you know. Okay. Update on the highway garage project. So, we met with CMS and talked over preliminary interviews. They went down to the garage to look and assess the project. At this point, they are putting a package bid together. I don't believe we have heard back from them yet. So that is what we're waiting for at this point. So as soon as we have our project manager, we can move forward with design and hopefully start renovating the building that we have on stage 1. And then we will be looking at going into stage 2 next. Anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to add that CMS is a company to do the project management, and we're required to have that because of the cost of the renovation. So the state requires us to have that project manager.
Not optional.
Right.
Okay. Discussion action regarding audit for 2024.
So it says 2024, which is my fault. It really should say 2025. So you voted a long time ago to have an audit every 3 years. And so 2025 would be the next in line to have it audited. I am waiting for an audit engagement letter from Adelson, who will probably do that again. But I just wanted you to know that that is coming up, and you will see that in the budget talks for the next year.
Thank you. Discussion regarding the 911 system converting to state. Again, I think you went to that meeting today?
I did. I went to a meeting today in Lenox. The state is going to take over, although it's not really a takeover. They'd like to call it a transition. But they're going to be handling all of the 911 calls. So the sheriff's office will not do that any longer. There will still be a facility in Berkshire County, and hopefully it will be built on the property of where the sheriff's office is in Pittsfield now. They will continue to use the current facilities until a new one is built. All the employees will be able to remain in their job if they so choose. There will be an increase in their pay. And our assessment that we pay the sheriff's office every year will go away now that the state is doing it. So we're looking at a savings of about $12,500 next year.
Nice. Very good. Any questions?
No, I'm assuming that their desire to aggregate it is both a cost-saving measure and an efficiency measure, probably, right?
It is. I think the sheriff has been asking for many years for help in trying to make sure that he keeps up with this system, and so he's been begging them to take it over and add it to already existing regional ones that they have in the eastern part of the state.
Great, thank you.
Okay, discussion regarding speed sign in Ashley Falls. The state has finally got the speed sign placed in Ashley Falls on 7A as you're heading into town. I'd like to thank them for that. I know it's taken quite a while to get there, but it is there now. A little question about the mechanics of it, which I think we should talk to DOT and see if they could at least change that to say too fast or something if you're above the speed limit. Right now, if you are more than 5 miles an hour above the speed limit, when you get to the sign, it does nothing. It stays blank. The speed limit is 40 miles an hour there. If you're doing 44, it will read 44 miles an hour. If you are at 45 or 6, it doesn't come on. And seems a little bit less than...
It's my understanding that the state thought that that was a way of discouraging people from trying to get a high number on this. So it's not the state actually attempting to be playful or something. They actually thought they were discouraging speeding. But given the speed on that road, we don't think that that's a very effective messaging campaign for us. Because so far I've stood there with my dogs and seen 20 cars go by without the light going on because everyone's going well above that.
How many times was it Bob?
Pardon?
How many times was it Bob speeding?
Oh, only, I haven't seen Bob there, and I won't name names on any of this.
Go ahead, throw me under the bus. In fact, my son must have been speeding once because he said it didn't work. And when I went through it, it said 44 miles an hour. So I might have been just a wee bit over. Neil?
Neil Chamberlain, 115 Railroad Street in Ashley Falls. I'm sort of responsible for that sign. The Ashley Falls Village Improvement Society, young people there said the kids that walk the streets, we'd like to change the speed limit so that people know that it's a 30-mile zone. So I've been very polite and persistent with our DOT. I've probably written 20 emails over the last 9 months. And I asked for speed limit to be moved north so that the sign could, so people would slow down by the time they turn the corner by Ashley Falls Woods. The issue right now is that there's a 30-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. There's a curve sign There's a telephone pole, there's the Ashley Falls Wood sign. You cannot see that sign until you're right on it. So my request to DOT was to move the speed limit sign or put another one so that people knew and change the speed limit so that at that corner. You know, as a builder, when people asked me to put up a window, they didn't come back and get a door. I put in a window. You know, I asked for a speed sign. What they did, they put a monitor. I know how fast I'm going. I got a speedometer. I don't care how fast I'm going. I want to change the speed limit so that people will slow down.
That is not
in town.
within the town's purview. That is the state's purview alone. And obviously, they did not feel, I would assume if you've written to them and they did not change the speed limit, that they are aware of it and did not think it was warranted.
Yes. And-
Just to explicate on that for the audience, Route 7A is a state road, so the state actually has regulations and rulings on what the speed can be on that road. The town does not have an ability to do anything other than request that they examine that. And it's my understanding that they do a study based on the usage of the road in their determination of speeds for these roads. I don't think that precludes us from making another request saying that we have safety concerns. I don't know what it will garner for us. I'm not saying that it's not worthwhile. I think we just have to examine what that request would be and how effective it can be, right?
He has to have it moved too, that should be.
Well, it's invisible right now. You can't see it. I don't know. They didn't look at it, I don't think. What do you
They
suggest I do?
determined where it was supposed to go.
Say
So
it again?
it was the state that determined where the sign was being placed.
Yes, I know that.
So I have to, you know, think that they had more knowledge about the placement of the sign than I would.
We can talk to Dave because the town actually installed it. So if you just give us a day or two to talk with Dave and we'll
Okay.
figure that
Yeah,
out.
if we can look into this further with the highway department and recognize what the DOT regulations are, hopefully we can come back and report something. But we're happy to be informed of what's going on.
We cannot move that sign without the state's permission, so.
I know that, although it didn't cross my mind. What I'm asking is if you got any advice on how I write the next letter to her.
I do not. Rhonda, do you have any advice?
I don't. We've written letters many times just about the speed out here on Main Street, and we can't get that lowered. So what we did do was put up the suggested, the yellow.
The yellow.
We can
suggested.
try that. We could put up a suggested yellow speed limit sign. It won't be the legal speed limit for there because they wouldn't do it out here for us. So we've asked before about Route 7A and haven't gotten the results. We certainly can try again, but I don't want to make any promises.
Another thought that I'm just coming up with now is, are we able to put a children at play sign or something near that curb? Is that one of the concerns that people are coming around into town and coming across
I
children?
understand you. This is a lively building. What did you say?
I think in a meeting we can try to figure out what alternatives we have. So that might be an option. Maybe we can look at other kinds of cautionary signs. But again, it's the state that determines all of that, right? On
On a state highway.
On a state road.
Yes.
I think there is a pedestrian or a children at play sign there somewhere, is there not?
There might be, but if so, it's also blocking the 30-mile-an-hour sign.
And maybe some judicious tree trimming can help us with some of that too.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Pat?
261 East Main Street. I just want to support what Neil said about the visibility of the sign. Until Rhonda told me it was there, I didn't see it. I had to look for it as I was driving by. It's just not very visible.
And it is not a very bright neon type sign. It is a duller, you can read it, but it's not very eye-catching.
I'm just happy to know that Pat's not speeding through town, so.
There you go.
Well,
maybe she is. That's
Thank
why
you
she
for that.
didn't
You're either
see
going
it.
too fast or too slow for it.
Catherine Miller, 801 Clayton Road. I drive to Ashley Falls from Sheffield via 7A generally. and it's very difficult to see any signs, and there are a lot of little kids down there at the intersection. I think about 5 in one family. So juxtapose that situation with Cooper Hill, where you're coming down Cooper Hill in the middle of nowhere, and there's a big sign that says "too fast."
Only if you're speeding.
I know, I'll
Only
check
if
it
you're
out. I could pass, I wanna see what would happen. That's the kind of sign that should be further north on 7A.
Thank you. Any more discussion about the sign in Ashley Falls? Okay, moving on. Reconsideration of licensing authority certification for Dopamine LLC, 113 Main Street, which I believe does business as Roberto's. Okay, and we did approve the change in the licensing. We also had Representative Julie Hannum from the Methodist Church, who was not against the licensing. I believe it was a technical reporting type error that caused it to be bounced back. They wanted more information.
They
correct?
did. They had a list of more information that they needed from the applicant, which he has provided. It doesn't change any of the approval. He is still asking for exactly the same thing that you approved at your last meeting, but the ABCC won't move forward until you approve this new change.
So I would make a motion that we reapprove the same certification as we did, even though you were not here at that meeting, as long as you are
I will
okay with
second
it.
that, yes.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Board member items. Done that more than once. Lee?
I just would like to remind people that it's an election year and that there's early voting, I believe, still going on this week. And of course, there's voting next Tuesday as well. If anyone has any questions, I think they can probably go to the website for any information on the locations at Town Hall. So I don't think there's anything confusing there.
The location's at the senior
A
center.
senior center.
Senior
I
center.
voted at Town Hall because I voted early, that's right.
Correct.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, I would highly recommend voting early because it's quite simple and easy.
The only thing I have is I'd like to thank everyone that participated in Trunk or Treat. I hear it was a great success. There was tons of children. And to remind everyone that regular hours for trick or treating is coming up, and to drive safe. We don't want any instances of children getting run over. That might put a little damper on Halloween. That's all I have.
I have one other thing that wasn't on the agenda that I got today.
Okay.
It came from Renee Wood, who still serves as our recycling coordinator. She's found a grant opportunity for $10,000 for reduce, reuse, and repair. So it's a reimbursable grant, so whatever we spend, we would get it back after. But it's for the workshops, the repair clinics and workshops that we have had in town for a couple of years. And she'd like to continue, and she would like permission to go ahead and apply for this grant and see if we can get $10,000 so that those workshops can continue.
I will happily make a motion to move that forward.
And I will second it. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anything else, Rhonda? All right, then. Public comments. Jim?
Jim Larkin, 174 West Road. I spoke to Ron a minute today, and so I stopped. Last time at the meeting, I urged you to consider these bridge, or our bridge, the Kellogg Road bridge, an emergency. Call it an emergency and attack it like it was an emergency. And I talked to both Mitz and Davis, and they agreed that it's an emergency too. But thinking about the whole situation is that if you don't pursue it as an emergency in a fast track, what worries me is the what-if scenario. And a what-if scenario to me is, what if something horrific happens? If you're on a slow track, you go by a year, who knows what can happen? You know how events are, they're not predictable. Something bad can happen with a fire injury, whatever, and you have the situation with the Eisner camp. So the what if is something does happen, horrific. Then can you be deemed negligent because you did not pursue the fast track, the emergency fast track? You took this slow boat to China, DOT, when who knows when it's ever going to get done. And they probably are, you know, they don't have that skin in the game like we do. Even I have some skin in the game with fields across there and all the way up to Eisner Camp. But I mean, that's not the end of the world for me. But this other negligent part, is it remote? Well, bad events are remote. Then if you are deemed negligent, that opens the door to suits. And of course, I can see you two got deep pockets. Not a good situation. I just want that into the mix. Now, like I say, is this remote? Well, I don't necessarily think so. Bad things can happen and they're unpredictable and so on and so on. And when you get into big numbers, that's when the lawyers and the suits and the whole thing come to pass. So my push here is to get on this thing as an emergency, get the thing fixed. And I went up and took a look at the Brookside Bridge, just to, I had to go to Great Britain. I took a look at it this morning. It's junk. And that bridge is longer. It's, you know, it's complete junk. But if you go look at the Kellogg Road Bridge, and any of you can do it, I mean, you can look at it yourself, it's pretty much a plain Jane bridge, a deck and some beams underneath it. And to me, if you really put the pressure on, it's a 6-month deal, done and over with, you know, a high-capacity spec bridge, and it takes the pressure off all the whole darn thing. This other thing up to Brookside, I mean, that's a big deal. But you can look at it yourself. I mean, you don't have to be an expert. Just eyesight tells you that. And another consideration is, what about the pre-stress outfit there in Pittsfield? I mean, a conversation with those people, if you had beams like from that outfit, you know, you could put those darn beams down in a day. Yeah.
Well,
So-
sadly, the state does not give you options. The state does what the state does. They have their rules, their procurement, their engineering. They're the ones that are footing the bill, and we can suggest that it's an emergency. We can stress, but in the end,
we are.
we have.
Well,
But so does everyone else that has a bridge out. So we're not alone. There are several bridges in the state that need repair. I think they are starting to realize that there's more need than we can afford. And they're, as Ann Govey said, they're looking into pre-engineered structures now where they hadn't before. But who knows how long that will take before that becomes policy? I don't know. My suggestion to you is to plan for an extended closure. The chances of that bridge being reopened are probably slim to none.
Well, I think it's a little more serious situation as an emergency. Emergencies are just the basis of an emergency. You try to solve it as quick as you can, and you can light a fire like Mitz. I talked to Mitz and both Davis too, and pressure, whether it be on bureaucrats, be on politicians, pressure. But I mean, if your attitude is going to be, well, let the DOT go its course, I mean, this thing, I guarantee, is going to be a 5-10 year deal. But I don't
almost
think
guarantee it's going to be a 5 or 10 year deal with or without pressure. All we can do is keep inquiring, keep it to the front of their minds, make sure that we are standing in line and we're not being overlooked. Beyond that, There's a lot that we can
Well,
do.
another point is cooperation with Great Barrington. Both towns focus in, especially on
There's been talk of, I know Rhonda talked with Ann
said that.
about possibly doing one or the other bridge. You know, we'd prefer it be our bridge, but if it were to be Great Barrington's Brookside Bridge, we wouldn't have any quorums with that either, because at least the gap would be narrowed. But how far that'll go, it doesn't hurt.
I think both towns would zero in on this size of camp situation, to me, is serious. I mean, if you remember.
I am sure Great Barrington is pushing that angle as much as they can push too. The simple fact is, these are costly structures. Town has never had to put money forward to maintain or replace one of these structures because it's basically under state rules, state regulation. Our hands are somewhat tied. I mean, we've done everything we could. When the bridge was compromised, we got it on the tips list. It's been there for a while. These things do not move fast. Unfortunately, municipality does not move fast. It will take time.
And I'd love to address what you're saying as well, because I wasn't here at the last meeting, unfortunately, because of a family emergency. And I just want to reiterate that as a select board, when this came in front of us, we treated it with all seriousness. And the liability we were most concerned about wasn't an emergency situation of somebody needing help, but the liability of somebody being on an unsafe bridge that would have put any number of constituents at risk on a regular basis. You know, when the state gives us a notice that a bridge is unsafe, it didn't really leave us with much of an opening to do anything but to make this determination and to make sure that the route that we had through town was a safe one. And what I'm trying to say here is, I'm not trying to be argumentative. We're determined to do everything we can to advocate for this and move it at the pace that we can, understanding that portions of this are just out of our control. And it's the very nature of the state hierarchy of how these things work. Getting ourselves onto that tip list with a closed bridge raises us, escalates our ability to get this to move forward on that list, where anything that we did beneath that would actually probably hold us up further. I know it's frustrating, and we're frustrated as well.
Well, the liability and the negligence part bothers me. It may sound remote, but I wouldn't be so certain about it. That part bothers me a lot. I think you should start thinking about that more in town of Great Barrington too. While I'm talking about town of Great Barrington, you have barriers up there on the road going up there. I mean, these things can be done like tomorrow. That's not necessary. You can hardly pass. The town of Sheffield's done a good job with the road up past Wilkinson's done a good job, but when it gets to Great Barrington, it's a darn disaster. You can't even pass. Things like that can be solved. That's not, you don't have to start this state DOT game. You can work on that tomorrow. So those things, and likewise, it's even over on the other side, they have barriers. So I just like to see more consideration of people live here and reduce the responsibility and negligence. That's my.
There's no negligence. The negligence would have been not to close.
The quicker the thing gets done, everybody wins. Otherwise, just putting stuff off, all you do is accumulate more and more. I mean, if you guys don't stand up and put the heat on, they'll think you're satisfied.
Thank you, Jen.
Hello, I'm Jen Wilkinson. I'm on 1500 Boardman Street. Last meeting, you guys talked a little bit about how you're working with the town, and I'm really interested in kind of building them from what Jim said, is the emergency response plan. So I talked to the state put me in town with Great Barrington, and basically what he said was, don't wait, call immediately if someone's ill. But he also mentioned, because they have a paramedic, right? So there's so much difference between what you're gonna be doing with the police department or the fire department to help respond quicker. Can you guys help me understand what plan you're working with the fire department and the police department to help the response time quicker until Great Barrington gets here?
Great Barrington is secondary now to Sheffield. Sheffield will be handling all the EMS and fire calls on the two roads.
Is that written in your service response plan? Because that's not what he said. The Great Barrington, and the state referred me to him. He said,
Yeah.
they're in charge of this zone because they respond
Right.
here.
But there's
So-
also mutual aid to Sheffield. Sheffield is mutual aid to Great Barrington. Sheffield was advised when Brookside went down, and Sheffield and Great Barrington was advised when Kellogg Road Bridge went down. But yes, there is a plan.
Has that been shared with the community to
I
have a better understanding?
Don't know if it's been shared, has it been?
Yeah. And would you guys ever consider putting a paramedic in Sheffield here to help with that in this time period? I mean, there's a lot of people that are at
That
risk.
would probably be left up to Southern Berkshire Ambulance if they wanted to try to stage something out of Sheffield.
Well, that's why I would think the town would work with them on that. You're saying you guys took over the plan, but he's saying he's responsible and he hasn't heard from the town to work through this kind of stuff. He said you guys have been meeting, but there's been no, not a new plan put in place in
Who's
file.
they?
There's a gentleman, I think his name was Kevin. I can go back and look at my notes.
So that's Southern Berkshire Ambulance?
Yes.
We've been working with the towns, the fire departments have been working with them. I don't believe that Southern Berkshire has been included in any of the plans.
Well, they should be, because when I called the state about it, because you're supposed to have a service zone plan in every town, as you know, when I called the state, he said Southern Berkshire Ambulance is responsible for it. So I think there's a critical piece missing here, that people are gonna be at high risk for that.
Well, I think Southern Berkshire Ambulance is aware the two bridges are closed.
Right, but
So
you just said
they
you're not
are-
involved in conversations. So to me, they would be a key player to help, I mean, if my father-in-law had a heart attack and the Southern Berkshire didn't know, I feel
Well, they
like the
do
community
know
just-
that the bridges are closed. They
Still,
do know
right.
they're gonna have a
Right, they
longer
know, but I guess what I'm trying to say as a community member.
We can
I would
check
like
with
to
them.
know what the change in the service community plan for our town is gonna be at this risk. You
I
worked
don't-
with the Southern Berkshire, you worked with EMT, you worked with police, we're gonna do what for this situation? That's, I guess, what I'm asking.
Okay, well, we can converse with Southern Berkshire Ambulance. I don't assume anything's gonna change from that conversation. They will still respond from their headquarters. But we can give them the option possibly if our fire department would like to stage or have somebody stage out of here. But other than that, I would assume they're correct. Do not wait because it will be a longer response time. They have to go out and around either
Oh, of
way
course
to
they do,
get
yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
that-
I don't know, I
and
think
that's-
a better plan needs to be in place, not just, I mean, somebody with a cardiac arrest is gonna be in big trouble.
Okay.
Good evening, Doug Winsack, Boardman Street. I've got the Kellogg, or the Maple Ave report that you provided to me last week. And I'm sure all of you have seen it, at least I hope you have. It notes that there are some minor deficiencies beginning to happen, as I noted last week when I was here. And it's funny that I knew that before you guys did.
I
But-
don't think that.
Are you speaking
quite
about Maple
correct.
Avenue?
He's talking about
Yes,
Maple
okay,
Ave.
yeah.
That's true.
And that they should be prioritized. It says that in the report. So my first question is, do you have any proactive plan or not to address these issues on the Maple Ave Bridge? Have you contacted the district bridge inspection engineer, Michael McCabe, about any remedies you should start? Or are we just gonna throw this report in a file, like what happened with the Kellogg Bridge reports many years ago, and wait for the really bad report to come in the future that may close it down? Because in this report, there are some number ratings on some of the superstructure items, with rating numbers not too far from the Kellogg Bridge ratings. Now, it is likely that some years ago, the Kellogg Bridge got a fairly good report, like the Maple Ave Bridge just got. And clearly, nothing was done about it, or we wouldn't have a closed bridge now. So let's talk about the Kellogg Bridge. I know last week Nadine stated that she wasn't here in 2020, so she couldn't answer for anything that happened then. But you were here, Mr. Kellogg.
Correct.
So I ask you, when you got this horrible report in 2020, and then again in 2022, did you or Renee or Martin have any discussions about any kind of emergency repairs with the state that you could have done? And if not, why not? Or did you contact the then bridge engineer, Lori Briggs? Did you even look at the report and even look at the clear, troubling pictures that came with it? You claim that the bridge was put on the tip list in 2020, and that if we do the emergency repairs that the state said we could do, they did give us an option, by the way. You guys seem to refuse to even think about it. But if we did those emergency repairs, we'd move down the list. Well, here's the tip list I found, put out by Berkshire Regional Transportation Improvement Plan through Berkshire Regional Planning Council. They're from 2021 all the way through 2028. I didn't get 2020. But the Kellogg Bridge is not on it anywhere. I also have a document from Mass DOT with an actual project number for the Kellogg Bridge, number 613590. It's dated 2023. So, maybe the Kellogg Bridge is on the list, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. If I am, I'll admit it. That's what leaders do. They admit mistakes and take criticism, and then sometimes they become better leaders. So something's not adding up here with the information I've got. So I want to state tonight that we want documentation showing that we're on the 20,
And
that we're on the tip list. We, us. And there's probably a lot more people that aren't here tonight that want the same thing. We want to know where we are on the tip list and what the projected date is for the bridge replacement. Because if we're not on the tip list, it could be the 2030s before we get a new bridge. I also want to go on record tonight to get reports on the Kellogg Bridge from 2018, 16, and 14. Because we want to know just how far back this negligence and incompetence goes. How about this novel idea for the town? Create a separate line item in your town budget. Call it the Rainy Day Bridge Repair Fund. Put $100K in there every year, or more if you can. Don't steal it for anything. And maybe when a situation like this comes along again, we've got some funds to go to for an emergency repair. You probably waste more than that every year in your budget anyways. In lieu of what looks like clear neglect and incompetence, we want the town to have a special town meeting with one article, the Kellogg Bridge, and let the people vote for the $500,000 emergency repair that the state said you could do, and not just 3 people to vote not to do it. Get a loan if you have to. You're gonna get one for the town garage anyways. And if it's more than $500,000, so what? Get a loan for the rest of it. In closing, I want to state what Smitty Pignatelli said in the article September 18th. He says, this is yet another situation where towns are ignoring inspection reports at their own peril. He also said that this is like a come to Jesus moment of the larger pattern of long deferred maintenance. Well, that come to Jesus moment should have come to this town 4 years ago, or maybe more. This is not rocket science. This is common sense. And I would like to think that we are just a little bit smarter than Great Barrington. But right now, it sure doesn't look that way. I'd like
Well,
these words.
thank you for your comments, but I don't think there was any negligence here.
No, of course.
This is how it's been handled in Sheffield, always. The state installed these bridges, the state inspects these bridges, the state either repairs or replaces these bridges. That has never been budgeted into our budget.
Well, you should-
I don't think you would like your tax base
I
if
wouldn't
we
care about
were.
that, and I don't think anybody here would care about that.
Well,
We're talking
maybe,
about 100,000.
maybe not. The town owns them, but the state controls them. We have no say. We cannot do a repair to any of these bridges without the state's okay. We couldn't even patch the holes in the deck without going to the state first. They give us approval. If we do anything to that bridge without their approval, we are negligent, and we will be held
I
accountable.
think you've been negligent already.
Well, I think your opinion is your opinion, and I don't share your opinion.
You have that right.
I do.
Yeah.
And to stand there and make accusations that are not credible is just not needed or not necessary.
That's why I want to see the reports of 2018 and beyond, and further back, so we can know when this could have been nipped in the bud and not get to this stage where the bridge would be shut down.
And what bridge in Sheffield has ever been handled differently than the way this one is being handled?
Probably none of them.
Correct.
That's not our point. Our point.
Your point is this bridge affects you personally. It's an
It affects all
inconvenience.
of us personally.
And
It affects a
the
lot of.
inconvenience is to you because you live on the other side of the bridge. We've all been inconvenienced by bridges that have been out for multiple years.
I know you were too, but just because you were doesn't mean we should have to live with the same kind of
The
inconvenience.
simple fact is, the state will handle this, and we've always allowed the state to pay for it. If the town changes their minds and they want to start putting up millions of dollars for these bridges, then we can go in that direction.
I didn't ask you to put up $1 million for a bridge. I asked you to create a separate line item and start planning ahead. That's called proactive. The town, the
We do
state,
plan ahead for most things.
listen to me, the state
This
did
bridge
give,
is not something we would have planned ahead for. We have followed the procedure that was laid out and has always been laid out for bridge repair and replacement. Even though the state says we own the bridge, the state controls every aspect of what is done to that bridge,
okay,
right down to the engineering.
you want to talk about the state. The state gave you an option for around $400,000 to $500,000. We want to know why you refused to even think about that. And we want to know.
I will tell you right now, I can almost guarantee that $400,000 to $500,000 will not repair the bridge.
I don't want the repair, I want the emergency fix that they said you could do with concrete encasing the webbing of the girders that are bad.
And they gave us 30 days to get an engineer to design that and repair it or close it. Do you think you could got an engineer and not repair in 30 days for that bridge?
I'm not saying that at all. Did you even look at getting an engineer to design the thing?
Our choices are, if we repair the bridge, it goes down to the bottom of the tip list or comes off the
Well,
tip
right now,
list.
we're not really sure we're on the tip list, so you're gonna have to provide us with that information.
I'm sure that will be accomplished.
Okay, good. And the other bridge reports that I requested. But when you said the state didn't give you any options, they did. They gave you a repair option, and you guys just poo-pooed
They
it.
gave us 30 days to engineer and repair it or close it. That's what they said.
So on day one, why didn't you start with that, when you knew you only had 30 days? And can you go back to the state now and say, hey, we're thinking we want to do this repair, so give us 60 days and we're going to try to.
In my opinion, it would not be a sensible thing to do the repair. It would put us at a start point that we've already gone through. Sooner or later, that bridge will be replaced,
Yeah.
and it will be closed for a lengthy amount of time.
Some of us may not
So-
be here when that happens.
Well, some of us may not, but
But
that is the process in which we have always handled these
the
bridges.
emergency repair could probably happen within a year. I'm guessing, I don't know. But we're not even trying.
But we'd be kicking the can down the road.
That's exactly
again.
what you're doing.
And the deck is in terrible shape also. So it's not just the beams.
But
If we
if the
repair
girders
the
are-
girders, we still have the deck to deal with.
So deal with it.
The deck over County Road, over Ironworks Brook, is going to cost $2 million just for that little bridge. What do you think Kellogg Road Bridge would cost?
If the deck is a big issue, then why did the state say, here's the emergency repair fix, do it, and we can authorize reopening of the bridge?
Because they did not examine the deck, I believe, at the same time.
Excuse me?
I don't believe they examined the deck at the same time. Is that correct? Right?
Yeah,
They didn't do it.
The year before they did
Yeah.
the deck.
The deck is in the report, in the most recent report. The deck is there, listed as
The deck's in the
whatever.
money report, too.
The deck, a lot of it was probably in 2018 and 2016 and 2014, when we should have done what I suggested.
The
to do
bridge
now with the
has
maple
been
apple.
deteriorating over the years. That was known. It's also known that we have never funded a bridge project like that from town funds. It has always been through the state. And that is how we've handled this one. Unless somebody wants their taxes to go a lot higher, this is the way we will handle these bridges.
Have we applied for the state funding that's available, the $375 million that came available in August of 2023?
I have no, I don't believe that's gone out
It was
to
for bridges
grants,
and
is it?
infrastructure? I mean, last meeting, Nadine mentioned that when you were meeting with Anna, her name is, she was gonna discuss that. But that was in 2023 when that 375 came out. So I'm just confused on why we wouldn't have applied then. And it's an
If
open-ended
it
grant.
was available, I would be surprised if we had not done it. And I will apologize if we had that option and didn't follow up or know about it.
Well, we should jump on it, just maybe there's some.
Rhonda, do you have
Look
anything
into
to?
it.
Okay.
But last meeting, Nadine stated that it wasn't an open grant. It was only a certain time that we can apply. That's not accurate in a
For
sense,
mass work.
because the state
Is that
has
what you're talking about,
allocated
mass
a lot
works?
of
That's what
funding for
Nadine
bridges. And it's
That's fine.
available now, so it'd be
Okay.
great if we could do something.
We will check every avenue. I mean, we would like to have the bridges open as much as anybody. But we have to follow the rules, and the rules so far have not dictated that we would have that kind of availability to us. The state sure hasn't told us that there is a grant out there that we could apply for. And I would assume that they would at least let us understand that there was. But Rhonda can look
DOT
at
also
it.
mentioned that there was, because we talked to them, but when you say we're farther down on the tip list, if we were to do like a valley bridge or something like that, what if a temporary valley bridge bought us 6 years while you're planning your 8-year to 10-year plan?
We wouldn't be on the list that entire time.
You'd start all over from where we're at now.
We don't know if we're on the list right now.
Yeah, none of us.
Rhonda,
Well, I think we should find out about that. I
Yeah,
agree.
we
Let's
should
find out
find
where we're at. I'd like to say something as a relatively new board member.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
I actually don't think going back to 2014 is going to help us in any way. Are these bridges a liability? Are they throughout all of these towns? Yes. Did we expect 2 towns to have their bridge go out at the same moment? Is it terrible for all of us? Indeed. But going back to try to analyze what we could have done in the past is only useful in applying it to the present and the future. We're in this predicament right now. Pardon?
Isn't that good enough? Because if we don't do what we should have done with the Kellogg Bridge years and years ago, we may see the same thing
Well, I
happen
agree. I
to
think we
the-
should
to the
find out
Maple
what we
Ave Bridge.
can do to make sure that we're paying attention to our
Which brings me
bridges.
back to another question when I first started, the Maple Ave Bridge. What's your plan? Because there's issues going on, and what are you gonna do? Are you gonna talk to the engineer and ask what we can do? Or are we just gonna forget about it and wait for the next report?
Basically, it's up to the state.
But we
No,
own the
it
bridge.
isn't. We own the
We
bridge.
own the
No,
bridge.
it isn't. You can vote to have an alternative assessment done on the bridge to find out what the other options are. And the state doesn't have any control over it.
We have our engineering reviewing the whole thing.
What we want to know is, why are you objecting to a special town meeting and let the town vote to spend the money or go get a loan for the money? So what? So our taxes go up a few $100 each or $1,000 each.
Well, I don't think the town is gonna accept it quite as genuinely as you are. It is
Well, you
possible.
never know until you ask or try, and if it gets voted down, okay,
Personally, I don't
we
think
lose.
it's worth the raising in taxes. Personally, I think that would be leveraging Sheffield residents in a way that's not necessary because we'd be inconvenienced on one road. Personally, I don't think it's worth the cost. We are better off to ride the tips list
And
and
wait
have
8
the state,
and
yes.
wait 8
and wait.
years. And wait 8 years.
Possible.
That's just an unacceptable.
Okay, we're gonna wrap this up pretty quick here with some, yes, please, but go to the phone, please.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Just one more question regarding
Sure.
the Valley Bridge. If we did a Valley Bridge in Kellogg, and I know it would put us farther down or off the tip list, would Brookside then be open? So we get Brookside open, we're on our temporary, and then we start our process. Would that be
I
an
don't
option?
believe a Bailey Bridge is an option.
Well, I think it's
could-
worth an ask. Or some kind of temporary bridge. I don't know what they're all called, but
Yeah.
that's not, that's,
They did not give us.
We're
the
all
option.
learning a lot more about that at the moment.
yeah, exactly. So it's just something.
They
you
didn't,
know.
the state did not give us an option as far
Maybe
as,
ask though, maybe we ask.
well, maybe we can ask.
I mean, a lot of
and see.
times in healthcare, and that's what I do, there's not a lot of options, but when we ask, we get more. So, just,
Okay.
I would ask.
Thank you. Melissa Cushi, 1375 Boardman Street. I have 5 pages, not enough time. Everybody's tired. I am requesting an emergency meeting to be held at the high school. I will give you questions beforehand. Everybody wants to know, what is the town doing? Why was the bridge closed? Why was the report in 2020 not heeded? Is an acro bridge a possibility? I have a file this thick that I'm willing to share on funding. Cape Cod can get $1 billion for a bridge, but we're gonna have to wait 8 years for a small bridge. I'm not trying to make things difficult for you. I'm not trying to make enemies. We're all in this together and we're all affected, okay? Emergency response times are very different now. Even though, you know, some in the town would beg to differ. A captain on the fire department, I asked him, how long is it gonna take you to get to my house if I have a fire? And he goes, well, you know, by the time the guys get to the station, suit up, get on the truck, you know, get on the road, you're looking at a half an hour minimum. My house will burn to the ground. God forbid somebody have a heart attack. There are, through FEMA, not going through the state, going directly to FEMA, fire departments can apply and get funded for extra personnel, equipment, ambulances. It doesn't all have to go through Southern Berkshire. I'm requesting an emergency meeting and an open-mindedness to create solutions and not drag things through the mud, not point fingers and make accusations. We need solutions. I believe in possibilities if everybody works together. There's a lot of money to be had. And what she said about the money being available in the state, it's there. I have a file, a printout. I have emails with links this long. And what the town needs is a point person for the bridge. And what the town also needs is someone to sit and write grants all day. Because that's what it's gonna
That would be
take.
quite costly, but I'll take it under advisement. Thank you. Do we have anything else? Anything new?
Yeah, have you considered an acro bridge?
It's not what I consider, it's what the state will allow. We can ask them, but it's there to call. As they like to say it's our bridge, but it's not under our control.
As a tax-paying resident who has been greatly affected by this, because I live on the corner of Boardman and Kellogg, I run a business. I am losing business. It's costing me more. I've lost an employee. This is affecting my livelihood and my safety,
And I'm sorry
along with
for that,
everybody else's.
but that's
So
not
instead of
within my
saying,
control.
you can ask them, I would like to hear you say, I will find out and let you all know.
Would you like me to tell you the truth, or would you
Yeah.
like me to just give you what you want to hear? Because I can sit here all day and tell you exactly what you want to hear, like a good politician should, or I can tell you the truth.
You
And what I'm
can
telling
ask
you
or
is
you
the
will.
truth.
It's semantics. You can or you will. One is the truth, one is, it's like, I don't get what you're saying.
Well, it's not a hard
You
concept.
can or you
I
will.
can tell you whatever you want to hear tonight, and nothing will change. Or I can tell you the truth, and you'll have a good understanding of how this is done.
Okay, so tell
and
us
how
the
it's
truth.
The truth is, this is how the bridges have been handled in this town from the beginning. Because of the cost, the taxpayers in this town, I highly doubt, are going to fund replacement of bridges in this town. It would be extremely burdensome. So the options are, the state controls it, the state will handle it, but we'll wait. That's basically how it'll work.
So what you're suggesting is that as a town, we just remain powerless when there are other options out there.
No,
and
we do
available.
not remain powerless. We do what we have to procure a new bridge without burdening the taxpayer that you seem to not mind. But I don't think if I go raising everybody's taxes that they're going to be too happy about it.
No, I pay enough in taxes already.
I understand
And I don't
that, and
get
I
it.
try to keep that in mind as we do things going forward.
So who made the decision to close the bridge?
Basically, the state. We voted as selectmen to close the bridge because the state gave us 30 days to fix or to close. So those are your options. That's what we decided on. There was probably no way that we were going to get an engineer and repair it before the
So can you
state
help me-
said to close.
Can you help me understand the process? They come out and they do the inspection. The one for 2020 was done, I think, in May. So it took 6 months for you to get the report.
It doesn't
Do you-
happen quickly.
Do you get the original engineer's inspection report that's given to the state? Or does the state digest that and kick you a final copy?
Would you like to comment on that, Rhonda?
I don't know if I can answer that question exactly. I can only tell you what we receive from the state.
And that's-
How they do that internally from the inspector to what gets put on paper, I don't have that answer for you. If that's important.
So it
to
sounds
I
like
can
you
ask.
don't get the original engineer's inspection report.
We have no idea.
I'm sure they go back to the office and input it all into whatever format that they send to us.
I would like a bridge meeting, an emergency meeting. How does one go about making that request other than making that request?
If you're talking about like a special town meeting for
Yeah.
voters, you can put that in writing to the Board of Selectmen, and then they can take a vote on whether to call that or not.
When you got the option to fix it or close it, when was that actually? Do you have the date? Was it 2023?
Oh, no, it was just,
Just in September.
basically, the bridge had been inspected in 22, I believe, or was it 23?
I guess I'm just asking you.
And basically what happened was when they closed, we knew the bridge is iffy.
Yeah.
We knew since probably before 2020, but 2020 was when it was really evident. At that point, we knew when Brookside was closed, even though the detour said Maple Avenue, that everybody was going to travel Kellogg because it was a shorter route.
Sure.
So we requested that the bridge be examined again because we wanted to make sure that it was safe for the extra weight, the extra traffic that was gonna go over it. That's when we got this report that says 3 out of the 5 girders have 0 load.
I guess my question.
And that was only a month or so
I'll
ago.
turn it over to my husband, but my last question with this is that you said that, we had the option to fix it within the 30 days or close it, and then funding was an issue, but we had that 375 million that came out in August of 2023, so.
I don't know about the 375 million, so we'll have
She's
to,
accurate too, so
we
I
will
guess
have to see
it's
how,
important to know we didn't try.
well, I wish I had known if it was available, but we didn't.
Todd Wilkinson, 1500 Boardman Street.
Yep.
So I know everybody keeps saying we're on the tips list, but there's no confirmation that we are, right?
That's what Mr. Winsek says. I'm not
Can you give
positive.
us the answer?
I will look into that and have an answer for you. Yes.
I am under
How
the
long would
impression
that
that
take?
it was put on in 2020.
It was put on the tips list in 2020?
That was our impression from the state, yes.
And so who would have done that?
I don't know who's the head of DOT for bridge repair in Massachusetts.
But that's where I'm a little confused, only because we're caught in the middle of us as owning it and the state, and I get you are too.
Yep.
So if we haven't been on it since 2020, then we've lost 2 years,
Yes.
right?
But the reality is from 2020 to 2024, while the bridge was still open, so many things would be moving in above us. Even if we were on that list, we were probably not, in essence, moving up it. Because things that are closed move up on the priority list. Is that right, Rhonda? So this is our moment where we really get to make progress on that tips list, unfortunately, by being closed. Right? Like they
But if we're not on
prioritize
it,
the
we
bridges.
haven't gained anything.
Well, we should be on at this point, and we will confirm that. Rhonda's
How
going to
long
look
will
into.
that take to know?
I don't know, sir. I
Okay.
honestly don't know. And we're doing everything that we can, and I think it would be nice if everyone in the room would recognize that we're working hard as well.
I do recognize it.
We're all just as disturbed as you are. I know it doesn't feel that way, but we are.
Just know that we've been told that we've been on the tips list, but we have no confirmation that we are, so we may never have been put on it.
That's
we
a
will-
possibility, but we will verify that.
And also, I heard you mention something about County Road Bridge. How much time do we have with it?
Before that one will be repaired, that's due in
You said the
26.
deck was bad.
Yes.
Well, that's
why they
Kellogg
limited.
Bridge, so how much time do we have?
Well, we had the 2 problems with Kellogg Road, the deck and the girders.
Yes.
That one, how long have we been working on County Road with the state now?
Years.
How many?
I don't know
I can't
exactly, but
remember
it's been
offhand.
many years.
It's been several years, and it's supposed to be completed, I believe, in 25 or 6.
26.
26, sorry. These things do not happen very fast. It's,
No, I get it. I was wondering, did you ever take in consideration of not actually redoing the deck and maybe doing what you did with Kelsey Road, seeing how it might be cheaper?
Kelsey Road?
Yeah, you guys put in a culvert on Kelsey Road?
Yeah, you could call it a culvert, sort of.
Bridge?
It
Just did a bridge?
Yes,
then?
that was
Call it a
$1.2
bridge?
million to do that bridge.
How much?
1.2
Yeah.
to do Kelsey Road over Dry Brook, and Kelsey Road over Snob is still on the list, because that one's deficient too.
Yeah.
And we are not the only town with, Lime Kiln Road has a deficient bridge, we've been working on that. Thought that was in the works, and now they want the road to be raised, so therefore we have to go back out for permitting.
Sure.
This stuff,
I guess the only thing I would have to say other than that, I won't have any more to say, but we probably ought to really look into whatever it needs to maintain our lifeline of County Road Bridge, Maple Avenue. If we've got until the, who knows when on the rest of these, and you might lose 4 or 5 more in the next months to come, so.
well, I think most of the rest of them are in pretty good shape, but I won't swear to it.
Well, you just said Lime
Yeah.
Hill Road, Road, County Road.
Yeah, Kelsey Road, but
Maple Avenue could be
Maple
questioned.
Avenue is pretty fair. That one should be okay, but then again, it will need repair and replacement at some point, and unless the residents of Sheffield and Ashley Falls want to change the way we handle these things and pony up some big money, this is the way we handle them. We handle them through the state funds them, the state calls the shots, but yes, we sit and wait and dance to their tune, unfortunately.
I agree, maybe we should have a meeting about the future of the bridges.
It is a question that could be
I would
discussed.
also reiterate that Catherine's letter really hopefully could have some effect, and the more we can get everyone in town to write those letters to their legislatures to help us move this, that would be really helpful.
Hold on a sec, Bonnie's,
Bonnie Silvers, I don't live on Boardman, 15 Bow Wow Road. But I bring that up, I just came from an education meeting, which, of people, Sheffield and Great Barrington, which turned into a bridge meeting.
Yeah.
And when you listen to people who have medical conditions, who are concerned how far away any kind of help is, like the suggestion that was made, maybe we get somebody stationed at our fire department or whatever, I think we're not blaming you. Well, maybe some people are.
Yeah.
But my feeling is this is a case where we have to use any political clout whatsoever that we have. Maybe it becomes special legislation.
unfortunately, we have done that,
So
and we
we've
are still
used it
doing
all
that.
up. Well, I think you've got enough people who would back you up in terms of looking at what can we do. For people who living and thinking for 8 years, I have to think a fire truck is going to take a half hour to get to my home, or an emergency ambulance, I'm gonna watch somebody pass away. I mean, attending this, I got a different perspective from living on Bow Wow Road as opposed to Boardman or Kellogg or whatever. And maybe it is a matter of letting everybody know in our town, and maybe, you know, when things get to the state, some people may not realize that Brookside and Kellogg impact each other. Because they've got a number for Brookside, they've got a number for Kellogg.
I can guarantee you, Paul Mark knows.
Yeah.
Smitty knows. Ms. Mitz knows. Lee Davis knows. Anyone.
Our new rural person knows.
Yes, we have talked to just about everybody about the bridges. And the simple fact is, we're not alone. And unfortunately,
I know.
Every town in not only Berkshire County, but across the state has
Absolutely.
these issues. And we are all just doing the dance. And I would hate to say it, but we're about as far away from Boston as you're gonna get.
Yes, but given that, we have to use, I believe, every possible advantage. You've got some very articulate people who've done a lot of research in this area, and I know a couple of people who have the means who are just moving. They can't face the fact that what is now a 10-minute ride, if there's an emergency and they have to get to Fairview, is going to be a 45-minute ride.
That is not actually true,
Well,
Bonnie. It's a 6-minute detour.
No, not from where,
Not for Great Barrington.
Not for Great Barrington,
I
not for
have to
Great
tell
Barrington.
you, not from where they live. But I'm not, in terms of time, I think you've got people who will support looking at what possible alternative or leverage we could possibly have. And I'm not blaming you, I'm saying, let's look at what else we could do. And also making all of us informed.
Well, we're doing everything
Hope
within
it's a
our
big
power
offer.
and
Sheffield
within our
Times.
budget to do it.
And I think understanding what our needs are is the first step of that, right? What are the liabilities, what are the risks, and what are we able to do?
Yeah, not my field at all, but I just having come from a meeting that turned into bridges, of Madison County, known as Berkshire County. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Catherine Miller. This, last week or 2 weeks ago, somebody said, well, we should have a letter. I wrote a letter within 2 days. It's on the website. If you give me your email, I'll send it to you. I said at the time that one of the best things you can do is bury these guys with letters. So you don't have to write the damn thing, it's done. You need a stamp, you need to put it in together. I will send anyone the letter and the addresses of the people for whom you should write. But that's one way to bring pressure. If these fellas and ladies, whomever, if they get 10, 15, 20 letters or more, they're gonna start saying, what's going on out there? Now, I'm not saying they're gonna rebuild this bridge in 2 years, because they're not. But at least it makes them aware that we're alive. So let's quit bitching and moaning about something we really can't fix tonight. Let's put some pressure on other ways. Have a meeting for the town, whatever, but let's just get on with it. Good night.
Thank you, Catherine. I hope this is a quick one, Jim.
Quick one? No, it's quick. Under 3 minutes.
Okay.
No, like one other one. While you got this bridge political platform, you're gonna have to hammer, say, on this maintenance policy. I was talking to Joe Wilson there a couple of weeks ago, and his point was, any structure that has millions of dollars of investment, you have to have a normal maintenance. I mean, there's like zero maintenance. You go up there and look at that Brookside Bridge. I don't think it's been touched since the darn thing was built. I mean, all these bridges are just zero maintenance, no structure.
You
no
contact the state, they'll say, well, they're town-owned. And you contact the town, and we'll tell you, we can't touch them without the state's approval. And if we want to start trying to maintenance these things through the state with town funding, that'll have to go to town meeting, and the voters will have to approve it.
Some events are up with the place and new maintenance. You and I can't go without maintenance. We all know that the house, whatever we have, is normal, maintenance is normal. So, you know.
Just a couple more quick questions. Let me get this straight. You need a letter from us requesting a special town meeting. And you guys.
We would need a request.
Request.
And then the select board would vote on it.
One request or 100 requests?
You only need one.
Okay.
It has to be in writing, please.
Can I give it to you?
You can give it to us whenever.
And was that vote taken between the three of you or in public with us, or?
That'll be between the 3 select board members.
Okay. Another question. I really didn't get an answer on what your proactive plan is for Maple Ave Bridge.
There is no proactive plan. There is only the state, as I have explained so far. The state maintains them, the state inspects them, and the state does not do a lot of maintenance. We know that.
We're not asking the state to do the maintenance. We're asking you to do the maintenance.
We don't have the budget for the maintenance. If you want to go to the taxpayers.
That's why I gave you that novel idea.
If you want to go to the taxpayers, but don't be surprised if the rest of the town does not want to pay for a bridge that they don't use.
Well, then we have to accept that. But at least we should try that, and at least we should put the pressure on you people to do the emergency repair that the state said you could do. Now, whether you got it done in 30 days or not, maybe it takes 90 days, but at least they gave you an option.
And as long as you realize, if we make the temporary repair on the girders, and then they fail the deck, we could be looking at another costly expense, and the bridge may only be open for a few months. So you have to realize, this is not a done deal, just because we fix the girders.
Could we get a precast deck though, set right over it?
I don't know what the state would approve or not
I was
approve.
thinking if we repaired the girders and do a precast up over like they did in Lee.
I know you and I look at things and what could be done, and we could do things a lot faster and a lot cheaper than the state will do.
Because
But it's not within our purview
Then
to do it.
Brookside could be getting done even if it was one lane, and then you get one, it'd take the pressure off everybody.
But so far, the state has not allowed that.
We can look into that.
We can look into it,
Think
yes.
about that though, set the precast over it.
You own the bridge. You guys own the bridge.
No, we own the bridge collectively.
I think it would take the pressure off.
And unfortunately, we own the bridge in name only. is what I keep telling you. They say, if you call them and start bitching at them, they're gonna say the town owns the bridge. They're not gonna tell you, we can't do a damn thing with the bridge without their approval. Their engineers, their specs, their design.
Can I just say one thing about the Maple Bridge? Looking at the Maple report, it's very similar to the Kellogg report from 2020. And given that the traffic has tripled over that bridge.
Yes.
What is that doing to that bridge? It needs to be a conversation, and a plan needs to be developed, so that we don't have to go to Connecticut to get back on schedule.
That's where we're headed next. We're gonna
Well, and I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that that couldn't happen, because we all know it could.
If we were proactive a long time ago, none of this.
You think, and you keep saying with your expertise, but you have
I'm
none.
not stating I have any expertise.
That's
I'm
my
stating
point.
what should have been done a long, long time ago, and we wouldn't be in this situation right now.
That's what
We
you
don't
say, and that
We
is
don't
your
smarten
opinion,
up.
but that
We don't
is
smarten
not.
up, the same thing's gonna happen to the Maple Ave Bridge in 4, 5, or 6 years.
Very possible, eventually.
And you're okay with that. That's what just drives me crazy. You're okay.
I am okay with the simple fact that I'm not gonna burden the Sheffield taxpayer with replacing.
That's why it should go to a vote to let them decide. And you guys don't wanna do it.
And you do realize that costs us money and time too, to go to a vote.
So what? Quit throwing
You
out.
keep saying, so what? Is it coming out of your pocket alone?
Some of it may,
Yes, it
and
will,
I
if
don't
you're a
care.
taxpayer in the town.
and I don't care.
Well, that's
At least
because
we
it's
should
the
try
bridge that's
and attempt.
inconveniencing you.
I would like to reassure that we are trying to pay attention to Maple Avenue Bridge, and we've been proactively trying to figure out what needs to be done to protect it to the best of our efforts. So I don't think that we're not trying to think about all of these possibilities.
I'm convincing us of that.
Well, I'm sorry about that, but I do think that we are trying.
I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I would happily make a motion to adjourn.